Drive Time with Mark Denholm.
Hello and welcome to Atom Radio's Best Bits of Drive Time podcast, episode 78. This is Mark Denholm from Atom Radio's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday Drive Time on every weekday, 3 until 7. And this is the best bits that we chuck out every Saturday that we could find from the actual weekly show. On the way today, the importance of names and deed poll twice. Some very, very sad showbiz news as well. Very, very unusual bathing habits. What I think is nothing more than a marketing con. We talked also about unnecessary panic buying with coronavirus and all that. And what would you specifically panic buy? And having mentioned names already, we then checked out very, very, very posh baby names.
Atom Radio, ooh yeah, playing the music you want to hear.
Mark Denholm.
AtomRadio.co.uk
28 to 4, Monday's Drive Time. Remember last week we talk about fake friends, all right? And whether you should put it on Facebook or not. Did anyone do it over the weekend? Did you stick it up? I was thinking you should put, define our friendship, true or fake. Would anybody be brave enough, though, to write fake would be the question. Did you do it? On air at atomradio.co.uk. If you did, let me know the results.
Drive Time with Mark Denholm.
Have you seen in the news? Came out yesterday. Joe Lycett, the comedian, has changed his name to Hugo Boss, literally by deed poll now. So legally, he is Hugo Boss, right? He has done this to prove a point. Making a statement on Twitter, he has said, so at Hugo Boss, who turn over approximately $2.7 billion a year, have sent cease and desist letters to a number of small businesses and charities who use the word boss or similar, including a small brewery in Swansea, costing them thousands in legal fees and rebranding. It is clear at Hugo Boss hates people using their name. Unfortunately for them this week, I legally changed my name by deed poll, and I'm now officially known as Hugo Boss. All future statements from me are not from Joe Lycett, but from Hugo Boss. Enjoy. So I don't know whether this is true or not, whether it's a publicity stunt. I have no idea. But can you imagine now? How can you send a cease and desist letter to someone to stop using their legal given name? What are Hugo Boss going to do now? Who knows?
Mark Denholm with Drive Time.
Monday's Drive Time on atomradio.co.uk. On the TuneIn app, the free one will do, on your smart speaker and, of course, in iTunes Radio as well. Bad news in the world of entertainment. I am sad about this. Judge Judy is ending after 25 years. Judith Sheindlin, who is now 77, announces plans to end the series in an interview which will be on Ellen DeGeneres today. I've had a 25-year-long marriage with CBS. It's been successful. Next year will be our 25th season, the CBS on CBS Silver Anniversary. Now, I love Judge Judy. I know it's American law and it's not British law. And I know that certainly here in the UK, Judge Rinder, ITV have come up with Judge Rinder in some attempt to clone it, and he's just not as good. He is just not as good. But the thing is, she's going to focus on a new series now instead. Judgment for the Plaintiff. Judy Justice, she's going to call it. Set to come out 2022. It's not known where it will air or how it will differ from Judge Judy as yet. But I am quite sad about that. The thing is, there'll be reruns forever, won't there? I really am quite sad about that, But I think Judge Judy is absolutely brilliant. And Judge Rinder, on the other hand, I don't think is anywhere near as good.
Mark Denholm.
AtomRadio.co.uk
Well, the good news is that if you are a fan of Joe Lycett, there's a new one of those two now. A man called Mark Roth, or formerly called Mark Roth, from Sheffield, has announced on Twitter he has now changed his name to Joe Lycett after the comedian legally adopted the name Hugo Boss to protest against the huge fashion house. The 30-year-old from Sheffield tweeted, I think at Joe Lycett is a great name, and since he's now surrendered it and changed it to Hugo Boss, I thought I'd change my name to Joe's. I couldn't have a world without a Joe Lycett. How about that? You see? So now there's a Mark Roth vacancy. Who's going to be first to change their name by deed poll to Mark Roth?
Drive Time with Mark Denholm.
Do you reckon there's a generation of young people growing up called Louis or Harry or Liam following One Direction, like there was if you remember back in the 80s, there's a whole generation of people now who will be, coming up for 32, 33, that are probably called Kylie, following Kylie Minogue bursting onto the scene in Neighbours. There's a whole generation of Kylies. There's also probably a whole load of people who are about 32, 33 now called Jason as well. I'm wondering if anyone called Kylie from the 80s and Jason from the 80s, who are named after the then Neighbours stars, whether they have actually got together. Do we have a couple, Kylie and Jason, listening on air at atomradio.co.uk if you are genuinely Kylie and Jason?
Mark Denholm with Drivetime.
This is Tuesday's Drive Time at 4:45 online, atomradio.co.uk, on TuneIn, on iTunes Radio and on Smart Speaker. I'm going to ask you a personal question. In what do you bath? And by that I don't mean a bath. Like, what do you put in your water with you is what I mean. A mum has divided opinion by revealing that she baths in Dettol, the cleaning stuff, once a week because it leaves her skin feeling so fresh. The 33-year-old called Laura from Bridgend has revealed this online. She said she has 2 capfuls of Dettol antiseptic disinfectant to her bath once a week. Now, I've got a friend who absolutely loves the smell of Dettol, but I don't think she baths in it. I genuinely don't think she baths in it. She may clean with it, but I'm pretty certain that, like me, she probably baths in bubble bath, shower gel or something like that. I don't know, Laura, whether you're on your own with that or not. Bathing in Dettol, it's not for me.
Drive Time with Mark Denholm.
Hello, wherever you are listening around the world. We are Atom Radio, playing the music you want to hear on atomradio.co.uk, on TuneIn, on iTunes Radio, and, of course, on the Smart Speaker 2. Trending on Twitter earlier was news what the UK government is doing to tackle coronavirus. Boris Johnson is probably tackling coronavirus by hoping it doesn't breed in low temperature and therefore hiding in a dairy fridge.
Mark Denholm.
atomradio.co.uk.
Atom Radio plays the Cardigans, Erase, Rewind, Coldplay and Viva La Vida, and a bit of Endor and Pump It Up. It is Thursday's Drive Time at 20 to 4, and it's Mark with you. Cheers for sticking us on. You know, like when something becomes a buzzword. You know, like back in the 80s and 90s, it was turbo, wasn't it? Now, turbo is obviously something that adds extra air into the airflow of a car. I mean, you can mix extra fuel in, etc., etc., etc. Right? That's how it works, and it therefore gives it more power. Nowadays, it's smart. Like, everything is smart, isn't it? Like a smart motorway, for example, is in no way whatsoever smart because it's dumb. It's still relying on somebody watching a camera. The motorway itself is not smart, but they use that. The latest one, however, is a smart pillow. Come on, what does a smart pillow do? £30 for a premium smart pillow. And I'm wondering whether there is any benefit to this at all. The anti-snore pillow is £35 from John Lewis. You can get a nano personalised pillow, which is £35. You can buy that online at Nano Sleep. What about this, though, for a pillow? Are you ready? The Medigel cooling pillow. How much? £115. Who's going to spend 115 quid on a pillow? Just because it's apparently a smart pillow. What makes it smart? And what makes anyone that spends £115 on a pillow smart?
Atom Radio. Drive Time with Mark Denholm.
This is Mark streaming with you till 7 o'clock tonight, playing the music you want to hear. Decades on the way after 7. That is 70s at 7, 80s at 8, 90s at 9, and Millennium Monsters at 10. What is it I want to talk to you about? Panic buying. It is definitely happening in the UK. Like, I went to go and get milk on Tuesday. Around about 2 o'clock, I went to go and get milk, and there was just 2 pints left. That's it, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Where's it all gone? People have panic bought. Are you panic buying? That's my question. Are you actively panic buying and overstocking? And even if you aren't, if you were to panic buy and overstock, what is one item that you would make sure you had enough of? On air at atomradio.co.uk, the one item you would make sure you had enough of if you were to panic buy.
Mark Denholm.
atomradio.co.uk.
Friday's Drive Time on atomradio.co.uk, on TuneIn, on iTunes Radio, and on your smart speaker as well. There is a news story today about a lady called Bam Bam. Her job, are you ready for this? A twerking instructor. She is a twerking workout instructor. I never ever knew that there was such a job as a twerking workout instructor. That's crazy, isn't it? Anyway, good luck to you, Bam Bam, with all your twerking and working and all that and the other.
Drive Time with Mark Denham.
Posh baby names. Now, these are remarkably posh. They're taken from newspaper columns. How about this one? The surname, De Winton. The mother's name, Flora. Father's name, Tom. The child has been called Wilfred George Pepys De Winton. That's posh. That is definitely posh. Born 27th of August 2015, so 4.5 years old now. What about this one? December 2015. Surname von Westenholz. Born to Caroline Anna Christine Sieber and Frederick Patrick Piers von Westenholz. Wow. A daughter named Electra Amelia Bartholomew. That's a very, very posh name, isn't it? That is a very posh name. Moltke is the surname. Born to the Countess Ferelith and Count Nicholas, a son, Count Phoenix Alexander Max. Wow. Do you know what? I just wouldn't know. I mean, I have a son. I wouldn't know how to have come up with a name this posh as well. What about this one? Henderson, born 5th of August to Jessica and Charlie. These are twins. Lockie James Ian Hope is the boy, and the girl, Star Victoria Flora Hope. Brother and sister for Farley and Phoenix. That in itself, again, is quite posh. Oh, wow. Surname here of Stewart, born 12th November, at home to Shoshana and Rory, a son, Alexander Wolfe Roth Stockton. And that is the son of Rory Stewart, the former Tory leadership candidate, who is now the candidate of the London, to be the London mayor as well. So what about that? His son is Alexander Wolfe Roth Stockton Stewart. Now, you know when you get a form that says full name, how on earth are you going to fit that into that little form unless you have microscopically small handwriting? How?
Drive Time with Mark Denham.
1125. Posh names. I just want to go back to Rory Stewart for a moment. Rory Stewart, of course, is standing as a candidate for London mayor on the premise of a man of the people with a son called Alexander Wolfe Roth Stockton. That's quite a posh name, really, isn't it? That is quite a posh name. How about this one? I'm struggling with this already, I can tell you now. Doimi de Frankopan Subik Zrinski. I think that's how you say it. Born to Princess Natasha and Prince Nicholas, a son, Bartol Ford Louis Oppenheim. A handsome brother, it says here. So, yeah, you know, you're judging your newborn there, aren't you? I don't think anyone's going to say, yeah, do you know what? We've had an ugly child, are they? Winkler, the surname, and the child is called Wolf Joachim Malvera. I've never heard that name before, but you imagine that, Wolf Winkler. That's going to get alliterated. That is definitely going to get alliterated. How posh do you have to be to come up with a name like that, though, if I'm honest? Because I have a son, and I just could never, ever have come up with a name that posh, no matter how long I thought about it.
atomradio.co.uk.
Well, hopefully, if nothing else, while you've listened to that, you have washed your hands many, many times. Because I don't know about you, I have now got bored of singing Happy Birthday. And not only that, I've run out of friends that I can sing Happy Birthday to twice every time I wash my hands. I've just got bored of it now. So I just wash my hands in silence. And by the time I think I've become bored, I assume I've done it for long enough. So there you go. Hopefully, while you listen to that few minutes of the best bits of this week's Drive Time, you've been frantically washing your hands and keeping yourself healthy. Those very posh names, though, Like I've said before on the show, haven't I, about double-barreled names or hyphenated names or whatever they are. But, you know, those names, I could never, ever have contemplated coming up with something that posh when my little son was born 4.5 years ago. I just don't see that I could ever have come up with anything that posh. And what about Rory Stewart as well, a man of the people, and yet within him, he has the ability to name his child that posh. It's amazing, isn't it? There you go. Episode 78 of the podcast is a wrap this week. Enjoy yourself bathing in Dettol. Enjoy yourself singing Happy Birthday and washing your hands. Check out the show Monday to Friday on atomradio.co.uk, on TuneIn, on iTunes Radio, and on your smart speaker. Tell your friends as well what you're doing so they can listen too. And don't forget, you can subscribe to this magnificence of a podcast on Apple, on Google, and on Spotify.
Atom Radio. Ooh, yeah. Playing the music you want to hear.
Mark Denham.
AtomRadio.co.uk.